Okay, hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today's video is going to cover a 57 kill streak I got with Boba Fett on Crate. I'd like to start off by talking about the cards that I use for Boba. Boba's one of those characters where it's highly... I guess what you would say is that everybody has different cards that they like to use for Boba. He's one of the characters where the cards don't matter as much, in my opinion. Whereas, you know, for certain characters such as maybe Vader or Maul, you'd have the same loadout that 90% of the player base uses, but with Boba it definitely changes. So the three cards that I like to use, the first one is Focalize, which is 10 extra damage for each rocket of his rocket barrage within 1 meter of the central radius. The second card I use is Extended Exposure, which reveals enemy targets for longer with his For the Hunt ability. And the third card I use is Blaster Disabler, which if you land a concussion rocket on a infantry or a blaster hero, their blaster is disabled for a short time where they can't fire at you. So the biggest piece of advice I have with Boba first is to jump into some arcade and practice your aim while you are flying, as I'm doing right now. That is the biggest key to being successful with Boba Fett. And the second biggest piece of advice I would have is to practice monitoring your jetpack fuel. So as you can see, I've got full fuel at the moment. You've got to always make sure you have enough fuel in reserve when you're flying around with Boba. The other piece of advice I would like to give to follow up that point is that your For the Hunt ability gives you unlimited fuel when you activate it, but if you have no fuel in your tank, as I've got right now, when you activate For the Hunt, your jetpack fuel doesn't replenish. So the biggest piece of advice, if you're low on fuel and you don't have For the Hunt active, I would be taking some time just walking around normally like I am now, waiting for that fuel to replenish before you activate For the Hunt again. Unless you're in a sticky situation, in which case, you know, use For the Hunt and get out of there as quick as you can. But the biggest tip that I can give you guys is to mind your fuel consumption when using Boba. I mean, it's something I still struggle with a lot of the time, to be honest. I still have moments where I activate it too early and things like that. But if you can keep an eye on your fuel while you're flying around with Boba, then you'll go a long way to being successful with him. So I guess, as I've said in my previous breakdowns, all I'm trying to do here is be unpredictable, going from side to side on the map, not staying in one place for too long, as I've said numerous times. The other thing with Boba on Crate is you don't have to be scared of the tunnels. So I know that you can probably be tempted to try and stick to the outside, but it's quite easy, especially with the new reinforcements, the Gunner and the Spy, to get easily taken out in midair while you're flying up. So don't be scared to go into the tunnels, because you get lots of easy kills that way. I'm just moving side to side, taking out all the enemies I can see. And his barrage and his blaster are both really good when you're peeking down, looking down diagonally into the tunnels. And his blaster is extremely underrated in my opinion. I think it's a lot better than people give it credit for. As you can see there, I got a clean headshot. So again, I'm going into the tunnels here, I'm not scared. I know that it's just a heavy. If he turns around and shoots at me, I can take him in a one-on-one without too much of a hassle. I know there's a hero back here, so I'm just scanning to see who it is, because I know there's a chance there could be a threat later, and it's Rey. If she mind tricks me, you can be in a bit of trouble. To follow up that point though, I think when you're mind tricked by Rey or even Obi-Wan, the best piece of advice I can give you is to just fly with your jetpack straight up in the air. So just try and get as much altitude as you can. That way their lightsabers will be nowhere near you. And then in the case of Rey, you can move your stick side to side once you've got that altitude. And most Reys will back off and run away because they know they can't get anywhere near you. Again, I'm still scanning, going right to left. A lot of enemies like to sit on top of these tunnels. They get a good vantage point of the walkers if they're playing the objective. And I guess the first thing I'm looking for is people that are holding those disruptors, because they are an easy target. Because they're highlighted, it's easy for you to take them out. And the other point with that as well is that it's only infantry that can hold those disruptors. So you know that it's going to be a pretty quick kill when you're only going up against an infantry trooper. Biggest piece of advice I have with Boba as well, and also just with any blaster hero in general, is to always be checking your minimap for enemy saber heroes, because they're going to be your absolute biggest threat. All it takes is an Anakin to quickly pull you in, and it can be game over. See, I lost a bit of health here. I probably should have backed off in this case, because it does end up costing me a little bit of health here, especially because I ran out of jetpack. Gotta be real careful. I think I was overly confident that I could take all of these guys on, which I did manage to take out most of them, as you can see here, pretty reasonably comfortably in the end, but it cost me a fair bit of health as a result. I was a bit unlucky not to kill that guy, but now I'm very low on health, so I've got to be real careful. And then I activated for the hunt when I didn't need to then. So now I've got no jetpack, but luckily the phase ended, so it's not going to cost me in that case. But that's one instance where I definitely needed to be looking and keeping an eye on that fuel. Now I can see, I think it's a Lando. I just want to put a few pot shots on him just to try and discourage him. Again, I didn't really need to activate for the hunt there, but I do have full fuel anyway, so it's no big deal. Biggest secret with Crate when going between first and second phase, as you can see, me and my good friend Darth Maul 516 are looking for. There are 2 tunnel entrances that you can go to, where your entrance to the hangar on the second phase is underground like this. So when you're going between phases on Crate, it's always important to go between these 2. And again, it's good to activate for the hunt here before I go into battle, so if there's anyone lurking around corners, then I'll know they're coming, especially because I'm low on health. So I've got to play a little bit passively in this case, just to try and slowly get my health back. Just looking for easy targets. This officer's not even looking. Easy target to take him out. And the good thing about Boba is he's got such good mobility. You can easily cut off flanking routes, which is what I'm doing here. Making sure there's no one flanking. And there I made a bit of a mistake in activating the barrage a little bit too early. But again, luckily it didn't cost me. It's a good idea to cover these flanking routes, because a lot of rocket troopers like to sit on these outer edges, and they can quite easily take people out if you're not careful. The other thing with Boba is, like I said, you want to practice his aim in the air, but you also don't need to be scared of just staying on the ground for a little while. And his blaster's more than good enough to take on most infantry and reinforcements when you're just on the ground. You can just treat him like an assault trooper with a little bit more extra health. So we managed to take this phase pretty quickly actually, which I was partially disappointed with, if I'm going to be completely honest. Just because I know that they could have contested it a bit longer and I could have got a few more kills. But we're looking alright. I've slowly got some health back. Now we just got to wait for the next phase to start. So again, with this phase, it takes quite a while for it to tick over before the last phase actually starts. So you wait for the announcer to start talking before you move into the out of bounds area. Nice little emote party while we're there. Why the hell not? There, so I can hear the announcer, so now I know that I'm not going to die out of bounds. Best part with Boba here is to try and get aerial, so sit on top. A bit unlucky, I made a bit of a mistake here. There's 2 guys I can see around the corner, and I tried to fly and get the rocket barrage on them. It didn't quite work. But having the high ground with Boba is really good here. That's the biggest tip I have about the rocket barrage, is to try not to activate it while you're on the ground. It's much better activated in midair. So none of these people can actually see me at the moment, so I'm just picking them off one by one, which is making my job very easy. Just got to keep looking, making sure there's no saber heroes getting near me. Again, Boba's blaster is more than serviceable, even at range. Gunners are a massive threat, almost as much as a saber hero. I think I talked about that in one of my other breakdowns. Just got to be real careful with them. And again, I activated the barrage then because I ran out of fuel, and I was activating it on the ground. It's nowhere near as effective as if you're on top of your enemy firing down. You lose quite a bit of accuracy on the ground, so that's another big tip for Boba. Excuse me. Again, on the ground there, I managed to take him out in a one-on-one. So he's more than good enough to be able to do that. And I think at this moment, this is when I screamed like a little girl, because that was my 50th kill. Which those of you who have known me for a fair while would know how much of a struggle it has been for me to try and get 50 with Boba. So I was very happy, and at this point, I thought I've already got 50, so I'm just going to charge in there and try and get as many kills as I can. So making your movements unpredictable if you can, utilising all my abilities, and then when I'm low on health, ducking for cover. His blast is also quite good at taking out those power converter objectives as well, although picking regular infantry with an ion weapon or picking Iden with their alt fire is a much better choice. At this point, I already thought if I'm going to die, I don't really care too much, so I just charged in there and tried to get as many kills as I could. And luckily, no one really saw me except for that Anakin. Got real unlucky here. I thought I was going to be able to get like a 4-man multi right at the end here with the rocket barrage when it comes back. But someone managed to come in and take all those kills from me, but that's okay. I think that's one. I might get one more kill right before the end. Yeah, there's the last one. So there you have it, guys. Hope you took something from this Boba Fett streak. I actually have another Boba streak that I got on Kashyyyk the other night as well that I might upload eventually, so let me know what you guys think, and if you have any other heroes that you would like to see in the future, then let me know in the comments below. So I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.